of the Norfolk Advisory Committee to order. Meeting for April 17th. Today we will be finalizing our positions on the various warrants, assigning write-ups for folks, and then voting on minutes. And I hope to have you out of here in a relatively short order, because we all have to go back and write up our write-ups.
Yeah.
Make Erica feel better. I'll take a roll call. Joyce Terrio?
Here.
Moses Sear?
Here.
Mike G? Here. Rob Garrity?
Here.
Ken Fitzgerald? Here. Jason Craig?
Here.
David Lutz here. We are all present and accounted for. Before we get started, there was a meeting of the selectmen within the last hour. And did they approve the final warrant?
They approved the final warrant. They made essentially three changes. They removed the amendment to inclusionary bylaw, which was Article 25 on the old warrant.
Yep.
They amended the MBTA community zoning bylaw, as the planning board had discussed with you guys all as well. And then they removed the street acceptances for Ariana Lane, which was Article 28 in the old warrant, and they executed it.
So, last week we went through the warrant. A couple of folks weren't here, and I wanted to hold some of these items for this discussion, and then unfortunately Jonathan and Brian aren't here, so we didn't get a full review of this, but we will go through it, I guess in the order that I have here. By the way, I should ask, Justin set out a new budget summary. Is there anything different in this?
It's only what I had discussed with you all last week, and I guess for those who weren't here, the adjustments were to the debt exclusion figure. Fire station building came in under about $98,000. Ambulance building is going to $40,000, so that's reflected on the revenue sheet and the budget summary sheet. King Philip, their final vote led to an increase of $1,040, so you have that change there as well. And then finally, on the non-exempt debt service, it went down $706.
There was no magical Goody bird that dropped off $10 million for us to spend or anything like that?
Not this time.
It was a reference from my friend Rob.
From the past.
So why don't we resume going through the warrant. Erica, thank you for printing this out. Give me a better way of tracking the way I was failing to do it last week. First one up is Article 6, which is the budget. Yes.
Actually, on 4, there was a note that do we have any?
With 3 and 4, right?
We don't. The board is having a meeting April 23rd, and the collective bargaining agreements are on the executive session for that. So I don't know if it's not for the warrant, but I don't know if you want to meet before town meeting to discuss
We
that.
have to meet before, yeah,
Yeah,
so
so-
it's on the list of things.
Yeah.
Budget transfers are always done right before town meeting, Mike, so 3 and 4 will be done before town meeting.
Okay.
The non-union COLA. Okay. So Article 6 is this year's budget. We've all had an opportunity to listen to presentations from Justin and Todd, as well as some of the department heads. I have expressed my concerns about the significant amount of non-recurring revenues that are being used this year. I'm concerned that you had indicated, Justin, that you'd asked the departments to do some belt tightening coming into this process. That is also going to necessarily reduce what our free cash situation is going to be at the end of next, or could necessarily crimp our free cash situation at the end of the next fiscal year. And I'm just, I think we have to have a discussion about whether this is going to become a chronic problem, or is there a resolution that we can look at if if we allow for this budget to go forward, we're essentially building in a structural deficit for going into next year is the way I would look at it, unless we have a significant increase in revenues. Then I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that. But I'm uncomfortable with this, and I'm going to make, I don't know where we'll come out tonight, but at town meeting, I'm going to say that this disconcerts me. I looked at my message from last year, and I raised this concern last year. Next year, we've got to consider either major cuts or an override. And I want everyone to know that that's what the situation is. I want everyone at town meeting to know that's what the situation is, because we will not have reoccurring free cash going forward if we keep using significant chunks of it. So I don't know where the board is. I know that cuts will hurt. They would have hurt this year. I know the schools continue to come in with requests that have to be negotiated down before they even build their budgets. But it's not sustainable. I don't know if I'm hoping it's sustainable this year, but next year I don't think it is. And if I'm still here, I'm going to raise this right away. So, yes, Joyce.
I would just add that I agree. It's a concerning trend. It was broached last year. We talked about it. I wasn't here last week for the conversation, but it does concern me. I don't like this. It's very worrisome. I think in listening to the school presentation, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the elementary school and what they have to do. I'm really, really hoping that they take a view and try to be a little more creative in how they are going to manage what they need to do for themselves. And I want to say that there is chatter about an override concerning just their budget. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure because I did not do a deep dive. And I apologize, but I'm not even sure where you can make cuts even in the operating budget for the town. I mean, we're lean in most areas. We've done an awful lot of infrastructure changes and advancements in the town over the course of the last couple of years. We knew we were going to be hit with some of those expenses. Having a new fire station brings on more expenses. You know, it just does. And I know that you've probably worked very, very hard, and the board has probably worked very, very hard in trying to accommodate the town, the community, giving them the services that they need, because that's what we hold the town hall to do for us. But I got to tell you, this is going to be a tough year to get through, and I think next year is going to be much worse. So maybe I articulated a little bit longer than I needed to, but I share your concerns.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't want to pile on after two people have spoken very eloquently, and I commend you for what you've done and what you had to do. Unfortunately, I've seen this in other cities that I've worked at, and it just becomes almost a tipping point of how do we remedy this? And I don't know if there's any discussions yet, or within your realm of, is there any projects or ideas, concepts planned of how to move forward? And I think even from your perspective, I'm just assuming from your perspective, even if there were any plans or projects or ideas, those aren't instant fixes either. They're planned long-term. So again, I commend you for what you do, but I hope that there's something in the works instead of continually cutting. Just a personal opinion, that's never the answer. You can only cut so far before then you just have to start eliminating services. But again, I know what you're facing.
I mean, the year-over-year growth is what, 3.5% this year?
Yeah.
Justin, something like that?
cumulative.
I mean, that's heroic, all right, on a budget, particularly where your steps and your contractual increases in certain places overwhelm that number. So, I mean, I share Dave's concern. You don't want to use free cash. I continue to wonder how we have so much free cash. I know how free cash is generated. You know, I do know the math behind it, but it just seems like we're throwing off a ton, a lot more than I remember, you know, when I was selectman. So, and maybe we like that because free cash doesn't get allocated at town meeting, and you can go back and do things with free cash later that are fun. And maybe we have to, you know, think, well, no, this is revenue. And, you know, I would rather us spend every penny of free cash before we change the tax structure. But I'm also in favor of changing, look, if you want a new library, if you want the positions at town hall, if you want all the school positions, we're gonna have to pay for it. And I'm not reflexively opposed to overrides. If people want the services and they want to pay, and they vote to pay for it, good on them. You know, this isn't a drastically expensive town to live in. If you look at what we want to be like, you know, what we think our peer towns are.
It's just going to be tough choices.
Yeah.
Been through that before.
Yep.
If you have any comments you want to make in response.
Yeah, no, I respect what I've heard here tonight. I think I've heard this throughout the time that I've come here, and I think I've tried to be transparent that this was at the beginning of the budget process. I say, you know, we're making some tough decisions. I don't know. I can be forthright. We've had 1.5% COLAs for pretty much all our union groups. We're way behind like our peer communities. The average now for communities is almost 3% that they're doing people, and we've been at 1.5% for years. And we're budgeting 1.5%. I can't talk about collective bargaining yet, but we're at 1.5% for the following year. You know, in the future, I think there are going to be some pressures in the town. You know, our health insurance, I've talked about this, is based on usage, et cetera. So I agree, and I share the sentiment that I've heard tonight. I think the board shares that as well, and I think it's taking a look at, you know, all options on the table. You mentioned that, you know, we're looking long-term at some strategies and to bring some additional revenue, but they don't just come like that, you know, the very next day. But we were looking at that. We've had departments look at, you know, various fees and making sure we're being competitive with our, you know, with our neighboring communities as well. But we realize we're passing these fees on to the residents as well. So it's a balance, right? And I think we're taking a look at everything. So I agree with you. You know, I think part of the process now moving forward too is we're going to start the budget process a little bit sooner. We're going to do a forecast. We got the Collins Center to do the forecast for the town. So we'll just try to be transparent and be forward thinking about this moving forward. I think this is as good of a budget as we can do for this year, and I just agree and hear your sentiment.
Speaking of the forecast, approximately when would you have what you would consider to be a preliminary revenue forecast for 26?
26?
Yeah.
I've spoken with Todd. My goal is to start the budget, that forecast process, and have it submitted in December. Before, yeah.
I'd like to have you let us know, and we'd like to call a meeting on that. I'd like to have a public meeting on that. I know the selectmen will maybe have a similar thing, but I'd like to have
Sure.
a heads up on that early. December's not busy. No one's got anything to do in December. So, and you know, all you're going to do is tell us bad news. So,
And
then go outside.
holidays are coming, so
we'll go out and
we'll measure the
sing Christmas carols on the town common. Feel better about ourselves. So.
Yeah, we could do that.
But pick the night that the Norfolk carol.
You can put a basket out, David.
There we go. As a senator once said, somewhat hilariously, a state senator once said, as regards the public health budget, we should have a big bake sale. So, having concluded that, we have a budget in front of us, we have an article to vote, a budget for, around this, sorry,
4.48.963
I'd be happy to take a motion on that. I entertain a motion on that.
I move to approve the budget as printed in the warrant.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The budget is approved unanimously. Article 7, I don't know why we deferred this one, but we did. It's the water budget.
Well, the number is slightly different from the
Yes.
earlier number.
Yep.
Justin recommended waiting on those for the final
Okay,
figures from
all right.
Blair.
Wanted to update the
Sure.
the final number
Great.
that we had there.
Thank you for the reminder.
And so they're in the budget summary sheets that you have there as well, $2,135,902 for the water department and $211,231 for the wastewater budgets. And the change for water was the unforeseen expenses. It went up from 50,000 to 100,000. I think Blair talked about this previously. It's the water mains and different things like that. When we have repairs, and we talked about this, I think
When
in
we
the
had
fall,
them, right.
is like they're pretty expensive, and $50,000 is not really covering it much of anything for that. So we proposed increasing it from 50,000 to 100,000. That was the change.
So this fiscal year, there's a $300,000 increase in debt. It was, debt service like 2-something last year, it's 5 and change this year. What was where's the big project there?
The water mains, we rolled that into the ban, and water meter replacements.
Okay.
We voted on the water meter replacements last year. And then the pipe broke. I'll entertain a motion on Article 7.
Move to approve Article 7.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article's approved. Wastewater Division Enterprise Fund budget. We've had a lot of discussion about the wastewater district. I'm going to ask this question again because I don't know why I can't remember this. The entire cost of this is for the operation of the wastewater treatment facility, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the revenues that show up, department receipts are all the ratepayers?
Yeah. Excuse
We're
me.
using
Departmental
70.
receipts, yes.
Okay. And we're using $70,000 of retained earnings?
Potentially. The only difference with this is the select board hasn't set the sewer rate for this just yet.
And how come that hasn't happened since it's April?
It's a little, last year, we had set the sewer rate in October because we established the district in July. I think we wanted to take a look at what other opportunities were to try to get some more revenue, and also go through this process to see, what would be the proposed rate, whether there's a subsidy or not this year as well. So I think the plan this year is probably to set the rate around October again, and then moving forward, set the rate with water.
So we would be, I'm sorry, so fiscal '25, which begins in 3 months.
Yep.
The rates have been set or have not been set for that year?
The rates are going to be the rates that have been implemented so far. So they have been set,
So
they just not be,
they won't change going into next year?
it won't change until October,
Okay.
or around October. I don't know,
And-
it might be earlier.
The ratepayers currently cover what percentage of that budget? This is going to relate to the other
Right.
discussion too.
Approximately 40%.
Okay.
This is the same.
Is
as
their
the-
allocation 40%? Because my understanding it might be larger than that.
They're on the old contracts, they're around the 40%.
But is that, to Rob's point from last week, are they using more water than they were allocated? Are they using more are they producing more wastewater than their allocation would have assumed? So
No.
the 40% represents approximately, if everyone was hooked up and had their allocation, they would still only be using 40%.
They would be using less than 40%. The wastewater is not being utilized to its full extent. That's one of the other.
No, I understand. That's an operational issue for the system.
Correct.
But these guys aren't going to resolve it unless we all go up and party at their houses and stuff. But I'm just I want to make sure that there was a lot going on last year around the rates, and there was a lot going around the negotiations that were occurring between the residents and the sewer commissioners. We were not privy to. I want to make sure that the ratepayers are paying what they're using, paying for what they use, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, it'll help with some of the other stuff too. I'm just saying that I would hope that I hope the select board would set rates prior to the beginning of the fiscal year. It's a better way to project receipts going into the future.
We agree, and I think we've talked with the board about that. I think we're going to take a look at it. I don't know where the board is going to position on that, but I think they made clear when they did approve the rates last year, they said, this is a gradual, get you back, like the users of the treatment center have to pay for the services they utilize. They did say that.
That's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Now is the question of what's the next step on the next rate setting?
When my septic system breaks, I have to pay for it all by myself, and it doesn't matter if my neighbors are flushing their toilets less or not, so. Does anyone else have any questions on this before we go forward? I'm looking at you.
I get more and more uncomfortable about
I know you
this.
do, but we got another one.
No, I'm comfortable about the budget because, all right, so 40%, the 211,000, all right, you're envisioning $127,000 in revenue, so that's from the existing users. So that's the residential users plus these two buildings or just one building?
The actual building? Yes.
Yeah.
It's these two.
Yes.
Or
Those two buildings, Walgreens and the other building,
Yeah.
and Sillis, used to be Sillis. So we have another article later on paying us back for last year because we didn't collect enough last year. Do we, is the 127 actually what you expect to collect or what they should pay?
It's a tough one to answer. It's about what we expect to collect.
Okay, so this is based on a previous year, you can expect you're going to get
it's based on
127.
flow, right?
The board set a flat rate structure. Now, there could be a tiered structure in place. This was a short-term solution to that. I don't know what next year is going to emerge. Whether
A flat rate structure based on water usage.
Number of
Yep,
bedrooms.
Yep,
and-
exactly.
Wait.
Okay, sorry.
Is it a rate based on usage or a rate based on number of bedrooms?
Potential usage.
The way that we did it this year was based on a flat rate based on usage, and it wasn't like if I want to understand your question. If person A had 50,000 gallon, which obviously we don't know, they were sharing that 50,000 amongst the rest of their users. It wasn't allocated directly to that person A.
Well, it's volumetric on meter.
Yeah.
So we don't meter sewer, we meter water, right?
Correct.
Right, so you're really charging them via their water use because their water use ends up in their toilet, one way or the other. So, all right, so it is volumetric based on water usage. Okay, and that 127 is what we think we will recover out of the users who are actually paying
Correct.
based on prior year. Okay.
There's a lot that goes into, I've got to be honest, there's a lot that goes into that. If we somehow do get, those developments who had allocation, if they make a payment, that adds to the receipts that we get as well. So I think this is our best estimate, to be honest with you. It could be higher. If the board set a different rate than this, it could be lower, to be honest with you. I highly doubt that would occur, but I'm just being honest.
So this does not include any assumptions about the Article 15 people, okay, entities, all right.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion on this.
I move to approve.
Yes, Joyce?
No, I was just going to, follow-up question.
Sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Does it take into account the the fact that the whole building isn't being utilized. So, I mean, there's vacancies. So you're not getting any receipt from the lack of,
You meaning the Scylla's
yeah,
absence? Yeah.
right,
Yeah, at the moment, there's no use, well,
right. There,
yeah, if there is no usage, if they wouldn't be built, if I'm
Based on
understanding your
water
question.
usage.
right, so it's based on water usage. So
Sewer
if you were,
We can't really meter sewer well.
okay,
They can meter it in large pipes, you can't meter in this.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Rob?
All right, do we have a motion on the table?
No, we need to.
All right, so I'll,
You
Mike,
did make a motion? Can I get a second on that? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Second.
Rob?
I mean, I want to be
Before
clear.
we vote, Rob has a question?
I want to, when we go up, we're saying, yeah, here you go, we recommend you approve this. I don't think we can be held to defend any of this. Like, if there are questions about this budget, they have to go right to the selectmen. We don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, this is so,
Yeah.
Agreed.
yeah. We're just a conduit.
We're basing our vote on our faith in the selectmen to implement this properly, so, select board to implement this properly.
Based on a
We have
guess, an educated guess.
Well, it's an educated guess, and that's,
Yeah.
that's the way I think all sewer rates are based, because they, as Rob points out, you don't meter the outflow, you only meter the inflow.
But if a rate was set before we had to vote on the educated guess, that would have been,
So, we have a motion and a second. I'll take a vote on that, unless there's any other questions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'm abstaining.
We have, can't count, 6 in favor and 1 abstention.
Did you abstain?
Yes.
You didn't.
I didn't vote, but you can count as in favor.
Okay.
No, I
All
didn't
right.
formally abstain.
Capital funds from borrowing is the next one on the list, and we said we were holding this
What number is that?
Article 10.
Is that the ambulance?
You asked specifically the reason why, it's for the actual figure, there's
Yeah, It's gotta be
465,
it's gotta be in the,
465,000.
so whoever chooses to write that article up, that number needs to be in. I move to approve Article 10.
I'll take care of 10.
Okay,
That's
fine.
my wheelhouse of stuff. 465 even,
Correct.
no change. And that's moving the ambulance to the 4-year replacement, is that the?
Yep. And the other thing is, the motion on previous capital things, you should look at the fall meeting, because there'll be better language on it. And then
Yeah,
We can find it.
yeah, I've got Article 16 and 17 I'm looking at here, but I don't have the,
All right.
I'll send
Oh,
that
yeah.
out to everyone as well.
Reauthorize, okay, blah, 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 blah. Special act petition for Norfolk, yes.
You guys gonna
Did we
vote
vote
on
on
it?
that?
we didn't vote on it. I'll motion 465.
Oh, God, sorry. Can I got
Yeah.
a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, it's unanimous. Sorry, Ken. Sorry, Justin, thank you for, you can sit here if you want. I'll hand over the gavel, my pretend gavel. So, as I was saying earlier, Article 15 is the downtown sewer district. I don't have any questions, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna talk about this.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
Last time, did we vote on 14? I have a motion note, but I don't have a vote note.
I checked it
Yes.
off, but
We unanimously approved it.
I have that on my notes as well.
Do we have a number? Or do we not need a number?
You won't have a number for that because it's gonna go to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
So you're gonna utilize retained earnings on it to cover.
Or new earnings from allocated payers.
Correct.
The sewer district changes. I think we've heard and asked a bunch of questions on this. I think I would say that the select board and now council have been as upfront about where they want to go with this as they can, without knowing what happens after we pass it, or if it passes, and that's a concern that we have, or even passes in a timely fashion. I mean, I guess we're in the second year of a 2-year cycle, right?
Yeah.
So the session ends in 3 months.
The session ends like 2 months after town meeting.
Right. So this is gonna, if it...
It'll have to be
if it-
refiled.
Yeah, it'll have to be refiled, but yeah, okay. If no one has any comments or questions, I'll take a motion on this one.
I move to approve Article 15.
A second.
If anyone else has any comments? Joyce?
Do you feel, I mean, I wasn't here for your discussion last week. You feel that all the questions have been,
I think they've been answered
Answered?
as adequately as they can. I think that there is an open question as to whether this legislation, since it is unique in Massachusetts at a minimum, of this idea that we would be able to charge fees to users that aren't using anything, is a new and untested concept. But at the end of the day, the creation of the district, and in fact, the purchase of the taking control of the system itself has put this in motion. And as I said last week, none of us were involved in that decision. And I know for a fact I voted against it at town meeting. But I think at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we cannot collect from people who want to retain their allocation. I do think that it's worth telling them that we're going to start marketing other parcels in the B1 with potential sewer. And let them know that, if this is if they want to preserve their allocation, they should get behind us here. Help lobby on it. I'm pretty sure that Stop and Shop pays their lobbyists more than the town of Norfolk does, so.
I got a quick question on this
Sure.
that's just
Yeah.
kind of dawned on me that Justin, you might know. Other communities, cities, towns, whatever, vacant lot with town sewer going by, an established district, not something new. Vacant lot, are they paying anything to the city or town for the sewer that's going by that they're not doing anything
If
with?
they're not utilizing it, they're not paying.
There might be an annual connection fee or something.
But that's what I'm saying. If they're connected, or if they want to get connected, some communities have connection fees, they have different things. It depends what the situation is. It
But
really
they're
is.
not paying a use fee at all, obviously, right?
Right now?
No, in Ken's example.
I'm just saying, a vacant lot insert any town around here, there's no use,
Yeah, if they're not using.
short of maybe a betterment if the town puts the sewer in, there's
Correct.
no.
Yeah. There's no usage. Wouldn't be a-
And it actually goes the other way in most communities. When you put a sewer line in, they fight to get onto it.
Yes.
And you have anti-checkerboarding laws, which doesn't allow the town to skip properties.
Yeah.
You actually have to offer them. The town council did say this was a rather novel approach. I mean, he admitted that.
I just don't see it getting through the legislature. I mean,
We'll find out.
all.
Maybe.
Want to set that in motion? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I,
All opposed?
No.
No,
Was that 3?
yeah.
We got 4 against 3. Okay. We win. Sorry.
So it was 4 and 3 against? Is that or the
Yes.
other way around? Oh, okay.
Yes. I'm being a smart guy. Someone has to inject levity into this proceeding, and I'm just the man. Our next article, I'm gonna, sounds to me like I'm gonna have to write this one, but, all right,
Which one?
the one we just did.
You don't have to write it up.
You gonna write it up?
I can write it fair.
Okay.
I voted no just so that the write-up will have that somebody voted no
Okay,
and why.
all right. Article 20, no, wait, I'm sorry. Wait a minute, I just thought I saw one down here. Next page.
Did we vote on 24?
I think 24 is
That's
the
the
next.
next.
That's the next one, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Capital, the KP's Capital Stabilization Fund. We had a lot of discussion on this at the last meeting. We probably didn't ask the superintendent enough questions on this. There was a discussion, the discussion last week centered on the fact that putting money into the stabilization fund, and if I characterize someone's argument wrong, they'll correct me, I'm sure. Putting money into the stabilization fund when it's available means that the next year, they don't have any, whatever they call their free cash.
E&D.
E&D.
Yeah. In other words, if they have $100,000 of E&D one year and they put $50,000 into stabilization, it means they only have $50,000 of E&D. I think this is an appropriate planning tool personally. And I think it is their only, as opposed, I mean, we do the same thing with our stabilization fund, is we put free cash in. Which takes, we voted for our own stabilization funds. We voted for a capital one last year, as a matter of fact. So, having said that, I don't know if anyone else has any comments.
Just ask a question.
Sure.
Is, our understanding is it's only for these things that they mentioned, or those
No,
are
no, no, no.
examples,
It would
right?
be
They could
for,
use
it would be
whatever.
for capital improvements.
Yeah, so that-
They
okay.
raised those as possible near-term expenditures that they
Yeah.
need to make, and they should plan for. Because $1 million on a field
Yeah, it's a
in 1
big
year
one.
is bigger than $1 million over 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
whatever it would be.
So last week you talked about who gets to decide how that comes out, right? We don't know who gets to
It's the
decide.
KP school.
Okay. So we would have no
Towns do
say
not
after this.
participate in that.
No say after this. And then I assume the other two towns also have to vote on, yeah, okay.
Actually, it's a good question. Is it,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
2-1?
assume.
yes.
so only 2 of the 3 towns have to vote in favor?
Oh, okay.
And then, in terms of your question, you're absolutely right. Once this stabilization is funded, the KP School Committee, if they were to expend from it, they would have to have 2/3 of their school committee vote in favor of it. But it doesn't need to go
That's-
back to the town.
And our bite would get if they had to come back and ask for more money. I mean, hopefully this is going to lessen their request to the towns.
Right, that's what would be.
Probably not eliminate their
Yeah.
request to the towns, but, so, unless it's a small expenditure that we manage to save.
So, question.
Yes.
So is that why the comment is in here that someone feels that it makes the budget less publicly accessible? How does,
That is, well, it's, that portion of the budget is less publicly accessible. We've created a stabilization fund, the school committee, who hold public meetings, but would
Okay.
not have to come before the towns to seek approval for the full amount of the project. They would only have to come to the towns for the part of the project that wasn't paid for out of the stabilization fund.
but at some point that discussion would come up in public?
It would come up at their meetings.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
No, I just think, Joyce, the argument would be, oh, we're in a rough year. Well, you got 100 grand in E&D. Use that. No, we don't. We only have 50 in E&D. We got 50 over here for the fields.
Right,
We can't touch that. That's for, fields. So obviously, we need an extra 50 from you, town members. That's the argument. I'm not saying that's what will happen. I'm just saying that's the argument.
Okay, thanks.
I take a motion on Article 24.
I move to approve Article 24.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passed unanimously, unless we have an abstention. We do not. Inclusionary bylaw is gone. The community voting, the MBTA, we cannot vote on the zoning bylaw because it has not had its second public hearing. We'll have to do that with that town meeting. I would like someone who's keen on this issue to write it up, and maybe we can consider writing up a discussion of why it's required that we do this. I think that we're voting because of suggestions we made to them, that they're making changes that we have to wait for the public hearing. I'm trying to figure out how to get some substantive discussion in front of people before the night of town meeting. And the warrant, the mailing of the warrant is the only thing there. We can talk about that when we get back to this. Amended use of the Schedule K. Okay, everything else is approved.
Yep.
Great. Now let's go backwards. Start assigning stuff. Budget transfers, we're going to vote on it before town meeting, but someone needs to carry that motion. Actually, prior year unpaid bills is number one. I can do the first two. Ken, do you want to do the collective bargaining as well as the?
I had said I could do
COLA?
4 and 5.
Okay.
Those are pretty straightforward, but.
You can't.
I'll just email it to you.
You already wrote it up, though. So if you want, I don't care.
Because I wrote them up in years past.
Oh, yeah, if you've got the language, just send it.
He already has it, you already have it. I don't.
But we don't have a vote on the collective bargaining, and so the question is, and it's a serious question, is do we put in the discussions we've had here, even though we do not have a recommendation until town meeting?
Can we do like a pre-vote? So that,
We're going to vote for this. Unless
right.
they come back and say they're offering everyone a 10% raise, but,
Is it allowable to be public knowledge to say who you're negotiating with still?
Yes. Yes. Clerical union, DPW union.
are they the same or is it two different groups?
Two different groups.
I would like to get a sense of the board, we can write it up that way, but I don't think we're allowed to vote on it unless it's final, or we could reconsider our vote. I mean, that's the thing, is that if it comes in at 3.5%, we might want to reconsider our vote before town meeting, which we've done when things change.
But it just wouldn't get finalized before town meeting, right? If they come back and say, if you've budgeted for 1.5%, they come back and say we need 2.5%, and that's changing the bottom line number here, that can's just gonna get kicked down the road till the fall, I assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do a transfer at that, probably fall. If that were the case,
I'd like to entertain a motion then on a 1.5% collective increase. Is that what's being negotiated? It's not.
He
Never
can't
mind.
say
We're not
that.
gonna do it.
I can't say
We're not going to do
I
it.
don't-
Okay. We're going to have to wait until.
Don't
town
we just
meeting.
say, isn't the write-up that we will present our
Yeah.
Yeah.
recommendations?
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
meeting?
But in some cases, what I'm trying to get at with the one I kicked down the road was to get something in front of folks before town meeting. The MBTA one. The value
So-
of having something in the warrant that we mail to people.
That's different though from this, because
Yes, it
like
is.
last time we did
Right.
the
It is.
unions,
Yeah.
we said what was in there. We can't say what's in there in this.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I've got just one quick comment on this that kind of ties back to the discussion about the budget, where it's all the same thing. And 1.5%, whatever's being offered, at some point too, we have to look at what do we need to spend to retain people? Because, looking back at the budget, we refunded we're filling some DPW positions, I think part-time cemetery, stuff like that. You look at the dollar number that's attached. I hope we can get somebody for that. How long are they going to stay when someone else pays better? And I know in my world, in the public safety world, the onboarding, the cost, what you put into a person to then have them jump ship and go to an adjoining community because they make 10,000 more or the health insurance is a little bit better. What we're not spending in salary, we're spending in all the costs to get somebody up and running, to have them leave and go work and insert the name of any of the slightly bigger towns that touch us that pay a little better. So that's just my feedback on that as someone that's been on both sides of the bargaining table is hopefully whatever we're giving them, even if it costs more, is a package that makes them very comparable with places around here. So we don't just lose people after equipping them, dressing them, training them, whatever it is.
Thank you.
That's a good point.
I'll write up the budget.
Is 5 finalized?
5 is, yeah, we voted on that.
That one's done though. That
Yeah,
right
you
there.
can write that one.
That's
Yep,
all
yep.
set. All right. So, or I'll steal
I got it.
5.
I'm waiting.
Whatever.
General, Article 6 is the budget, I'll write that one up. Article 7 is the water division.
I got it.
Article 8 is the wastewater division.
I got it.
Rob.
anything water related. Except Mirror Lake.
Oh, near that one.
Capital funds from, we IP'd that. Ken said he would do the capital funds from borrowing, which is Article 10.
The ambulance.
Erica. We still need a write-up on the, this is actually a good opportunity for our new members to get involved in some of this. IP is easy.
Okay.
And we can give you the language if someone wants to do a couple of the IPs to get their feet wet.
Yeah. Feel free to throw them at me.
So Article 2 is an IP, it's the unpaid, it's the first one though, so when you guys want to go first, you can be, I'll do that one actually.
Yeah, I'd rather not go first from that perspective, but.
But capital funds from other sources, you're essentially you're standing up and saying, we usually vote on this at the fall town meeting, therefore we move to unanimously indefinitely postpone this.
Seems pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward, and the language exists. I've done these for the last 4 or 5 years, so I can send you the language.
Sounds good. I'll
Great,
take that
thank you,
one.
Melissa.
Yep.
Reauthorizing revolving fund spending limits, this is actually pretty easy. We have a list that's in the warrant. It sets caps on what these revolving funds are allowed to collect and then expend. It doesn't put a cap on what they collect. It puts a cap on what they're allowed to expend out of the revenue they collect. It's a pretty easy one. There's one change that has to be reflected in that, which is highlighted in the write-up. Does anyone want to do this one?
I could take that one too.
Okay, thank you.
Which one was that one?
11.
11. 12 is Chapter 90.
You got it.
Rob loves Chapter 90.
It's my favorite one.
13, we don't have to do anything with. Water enterprise, wastewater enterprise fund shortfall. Anyone want to do this one? Pardon me? You want to do this one, Rob? We also can assign stuff to Jonathan when he's here. I'm actually thinking of assigning all the CPC things to Jonathan for not showing up. He's done it before.
All of them. I mean, he's up there,
Sorry, Jonathan, I hope you're not listening in someplace.
Is he gonna be able to
Watch
do them
them.
all tomorrow?
Well, that's one of the issues, he's traveling, but the first 3 are easy.
I can take these CPC ones, I don't.
Okay. The first 3, 2 are the regular, I haven't gotten to those yet, but let me get to those.
Well,
I'm going to write up, Rob said he'd write up the downtown sewer district. Thank you, Rob.
Wait a second. Downtown Sewer District, Rob.
CPC annual distributions is Article 16.
Did we do 14?
Yeah.
Rob said he would do it.
14 and 15?
Yep.
Okay.
CPC annual distributions is it's boilerplate. We do it every year. It's language that exists. Anyone up for that one?
I'll take whatever you want.
Okay, we can send you the language, actually. 16 and 17 are standard operating procedure kind of things. Jason.
Was it Brian can't do any because he'll already be potentially elected at
Brian
this
will
point?
not be able to do this. I'm going to ask him, he offered to help do write-ups. I'm going to ask him to write up the use table one because he did it last year. And he probably can just amend what he wrote last year and give it to whoever wants to do that. Community housing, this is the funding that they requested so they can pool it with some other money and buy a new house to restrict as affordable housing. Anyone want to do this one? Mike?
I can do that.
Okay. Mirror Lake settlement.
I think I did that one last time.
Mirror Lake?
Yeah.
Just kick it down a can and do it again, okay. Mike's going to do 18 and 19, Erica?
Yep.
Article 20 is the field lighting. I voted against this one. I do not want to write it up.
Jonathan had feelings, but I don't mind writing it up.
Jonathan voted against it too. We both had feelings, which is why we voted against it.
You had feelings.
Yes.
Well, I can take it.
Okay. Irrigation expansion, irrigation system expansion. I can write this one up if no one else wants to. Pickleball courts, Ken volunteered to write this one up.
No. You don't want me writing that up. It's a fad.
I feel the same way, so I can't write it up either. Anyone want to write the pickleball court one
I'll
up?
take pickleball.
Okay. We're entering the home stretch, guys. Town Hill Engineering and Design. Who wants to write this one up? Actually,
I only have two little things, so you can give me,
do you remember the discussion on this one? And did you, more importantly, I mean, we've discussed this at a previous, this was before us last fall, and we voted against it because of, I'm happy to sign it to you. I just want to make sure you've got 2 days to write it up and get it to Erica. And this is, you're going to have to create this one mostly at a whole cloth, based on the materials we got on it.
maybe not.
I'll ask Brian to do this one and give it to you. Does that work for you, Jason? You can carry it at town meeting and Brian can write it up? I think he understood this one. He had a lot of questions on it, so he should be good. KB Stabilization Fund.
I can do that.
I'm looking at our ex-KP school committee member. Mike's doing that one. Inclusionary,
Nope. MBTA is out.
do it. So the real article, now I need to look at this list. Yeah. We probably should have made sure people understand. You want to look at the article numbers on the package we got tonight.
Yep.
Not the package from previously. Amend schedule of use.
So if you said that
Brian's
Brian
gonna-
wrote it
Brian-
last year,
Yep.
if he can write it, I don't mind
Okay.
standing and
Yep.
talking,
Okay, cool.
all right?
Great. Yep.
I stayed away from all the CPC stuff because I didn't want anyone thinking it'd be,
Fair enough.
so, yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I can do 27. I'm sure there's commentary about that.
If you want, I can do that one too. I know pretty much about that one, so whatever's easier.
Joyce is looking for stuff to do, the private way one, yes.
Yep.
I can do that.
Theft of water bylaw. Rob, this is water. You gonna give up on this one?
I can do this.
Not wastewater, though.
You're making me stay to the end of town meeting, though.
You're not, you can't leave early, you're a member of the advisory committee. Article 31, so the theft of water bylaw, Rob's gonna write up. Article 31 is the restricted water use restriction bylaw amendments.
Which is not
29, sorry, yeah, I
I
should.
recall a lot of conversation from like Ken on that one. He was really into that one.
I was really into the theft of water.
He can have that.
I'll take theft.
And you'll do restricted water use?
Yeah,
Rob, I can do that. I mean, you have a 30.
Jason can do it. I don't quite understand exactly what they're getting at with that one. Like, I know
think-
it's,
I think they're largely bringing themselves into compliance with state law on this.
yeah.
And I think the DEP's making us do it.
And I think they're using
EM or
boilerplate
DEP?
language
One of
that
them.
doesn't really
DEP.
fit our, anyway.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Okay, great. We're done with that? Are you all set?
Anyone to, capital funds from other sources?
Yeah, that's me.
You, okay.
I'll just keep standing up and go through that
Okay.
one.
Can you remind me the date?
Oh, no, that was, I said I would do that one.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Melissa's.
Because it's an IP.
Yeah, okay.
3 is budget transfers. I didn't hear anybody.
Oh, yep.
That's me.
Yeah.
So David, you're
2,
2,
Three.
3,
6.
6.
6.
And
Nine.
then
21.
wait, not 9.
No, Melissa's
I'm
9.
Melissa's 9.
Yeah, 21.
21, and then that's it.
Who's doing 25?
3, 6.
MBTA communities.
Yeah, we didn't
We didn't
decide
do
that.
that.
We didn't do that one. We don't, well, actually, that's a good point. Skip that. How do-
I don't
But
know.
you did make the
So-
comment you want somebody who really,
So this is the one I would like, we
Right.
can't take a vote until the day of town meeting.
Because they have to go, this is the one they have to go
They
through
have to go
public
back
meeting
out
on,
to
not
public-
on the use table one.
Right,
just on
they have
this
to go
one.
back, because they already had the use
Okay.
table hearing. They have to go back out to public hearing this because they closed the hearing, and they have to notice it, which I thought, has this got special notice requirements?
Yeah, it's 2 weeks, so I think they got May 7th or something.
So, I guess this is the one that I'm wondering if it's worth having a write-up, saying the board, or the committee will be voting on this prior to town meeting. or not? All right, do we let's just let the planning board hang on this one?
Can we make no,
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, we had a lot of
We
discussion.
could do an informational paragraph for the town
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
Here's the ins and outs.
Right.
here's why we're doing this.
The result of state legislation.
State
blah, blah,
overreach.
blah.
Fascistic state
I
regulations.
think I want to edit.
Threats to
what-
steal
If Rob
grant
writes it
money.
up, I think I want to edit what Rob writes.
It's co-authored.
Un-American. In the shadow of the American Revolution.
Are you offering to write that up, that information?
Not as, if anyone else wants to do
Does
it.
anyone else want to write up an informational paragraph on this one?
Sure.
You understand it? I hate to do this to you because he did most of the talking. He and I did most of the talking on this one.
I just want to carry a fair share so you guys aren't doing it also. I'm
Okay.
volunteering for.
I
Write
mean,
it
if
up.
you want to make a draft, take a run at it, and then, can
Send
we?
it to, send it around.
Oh, wait a minute, how do we get through open meeting law?
Send it to one of us. He can send it to one of us. 'Cause he hasn't hit a quorum.
Yeah.
Send it to him.
how do I send the minutes to everyone? It doesn't violate open.
Because
We're not deliberating.
voting on it. We're reading them and then voting on them here. And we actually are voting on them as opposed to the write-up on the. You're sharing information.
Just don't have ChatGPT write it up.
That'd be really interesting. Dear ChatGPT.
Oh, I think it
I was
would.
actually going to do one of these as a joke.
I think it would.
See what it said.
Okay. Are you all set, Erica?
I think so.
And we'll.
I'll send it out, and if
We are
it's
getting these to you by the end of the day Friday.
tomorrow.
As my friend Ken pointed out, no one's going to read these on Friday at the printer, but
Well.
we'll do our best. Do your best, guys, to get them to her.
Give me
I'll-
what you
If you've
can.
halfway through, send her what you've got. She can start putting it into the, because
Yeah.
Erica then has to format it into the warrant that we have.
Town meeting is a month away.
I motion that we fire the printer. Find a new one.
That's why I kind of stayed. I just want to see, when are they getting? Friday?
They want
want
it
it Friday.
Friday. To have
mail
it to
it
the,
a
to have
week
it to
and a
the
half
post
later.
office by, I think, May 1st is the day we wanted it.
Friday is the 19th?
Yep. They wanted it tomorrow, and I was
They
like,
needed
that's
11
just
days
not.
before. It's a half a day print job.
I mean, if I don't get it to them by Monday, I don't get it to them by Monday. But
Okay.
I just don't envision them working on it over the weekend. That's just me.
I get, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I guess the big
But-
thing is that we have to have it posted in town and on the website. So if it doesn't get to the post office May 1st, if it gets to the post office May 2nd,
Yes.
is that really?
Well, that's the whole thing, is if we post it,
Yeah, then we've
if
fulfilled
we meet the
that.
minimum obligations under the.
Yeah.
There's no,
No, I'm serious.
I also need.
If they don't, if the people at home don't get it until a week before town meeting, we've given them the opportunity to review it.
so there's no
I'm not-
state law
I'm not arguing
requirement.
about not
There's a
giving it.
by-
Is there a town bylaw? Because I remember,
There's
yeah.
a town bylaw.
But what's the town bylaw say?
And actually, this is why I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit. I read the bylaw again, and it says that advisory, because it's tucked into advisory, it's not
Yes,
in the warrant
right,
aspect. of
yeah.
it, that you have to send out the warrant and your recommendations.
Right.
Is
You missed the
write-ups
last
part
time
of
we,
your-
you missed the last time we discussed this which has been within the last 5 years.
Oh, okay.
There was a push to have us mail a postcard saying you can access.
That I
it.
do know about that, because I was looking at
Well, it's
myself.
tied into the same discussion.
Okay.
Is that we feel it's important we feel that not only is it important for them to get the warrant, but to get our recommendations in the warrant.
But does,
We used to do 2 mailings back in the day. You used to get it without the recommendations, and they used to get it with the recommendations.
Where I was going at, technically, when I look at it, you don't need to include the write-up. You can include your recommendation if you feel in a rush to get it done by Friday. I mean, this is you doing the work if you can get
But
the
then we
write-up.
have to have our recommendations available at town meeting.
But you would list a recommendation saying advisory committee recommended that we approve this article. Because there's 2 aspects of the write-ups, Erica.
Yeah.
You have the bold,
The recommendation
approved,
and then the
and then you
write-up
include the write-up
is
that goes into
separate,
the town administrator comments. It's your call, but the reading of it says recommendation. It doesn't say write-ups. That's it.
I would hate to be the chair of the committee that chose.
But wait, but does the bylaw say people have to get it 7 days in advance, 10 days in advance,
Does
2 days in
dictate
advance?
The time.
Oh.
I also still need the signatures.
That's what I was gonna ask you,
You have
actually.
my signature, right? From last
You,
time.
I can, you're
Okay, you
fine,
can
but
fake
I
me?
need
All right.
Paul's signature and the select board signature.
You'll get the select board signatures, but the constables, he's coming in the 24th. So
And
you'll have the signature pages of select board. I got 2 of them coming.
But if I can't include, you said that we do
The
need
signature
that.
page, as long as it's the select board.
Okay, so we don't, okay.
Do you need him to call you?
Apparently not.
Unless Joy.
Don't we have 2 constables?
Excuse me?
Huh?
Don't we have 2 constables?
Last I knew.
Who is the other one?
Is it Mr. Flaherty still?
Really?
He lives in town, right?
I don't know.
All
Yeah.
right. Should we chat, let's see if we can chat with our longtime community dedicated constable that we have in town, who serves in
Very
many other
dedicated.
capacities in our town, as well as constable.
Yeah.
One of the many hats that he wears.
It's a Lions event.
All right.
Like for that, literally, if you took a picture of his signature and email it to me, I can stick it in there,
Oh, really? Okay.
You can actually, I checked with town council on this too. I don't want, I was gonna talk to you after this,
Yeah.
but yes, technically you could have electronic signature too, apparently.
Well, it's always scanned and sent to me, so
Exactly.
it's the copy that gets printed and distributed is a scanned signature regardless.
I'll have
So
to
where are we at with the
second-
write-ups? That's not really
Eric,
a
I think we're
question.
done.
Yeah, we've
Everyone's got
assigned
it.
all the write-ups.
We have a question or a comment from a member of the select board, I believe. Kevin? Do you have your hand up?
Oh,
That was
no,
an
he
hour ago.
typed.
He typed a comment
You
in.
said you were gonna send the discussion directly to the select board on.
The wastewater budget,
He
probably.
said as it should be.
I did, I said what?
No, I said it.
Oh, okay.
Someone said.
Yeah, David, that was a comment I made about 45 minutes ago, so
Well,
I
that's the
appreciate the
problem, is
attention
it
to
wasn't a
the...
yellow hand, I didn't even recognize it, so, all right. Sorry about that. All right, so I think we're done with that portion of the agenda. We have minutes.
So when is everybody gonna?
We're gonna do our very best to get them to you tomorrow, by end of day tomorrow. You're not getting them
No,
before
you-
midnight.
Is it?
Can't get them from me by end of day tomorrow. My day is packed, unfortunately. So,
All right, I mean,
and I'm traveling Friday morning, so
should I just tell?
we'll see.
Should we talk about it after, or should,
Yeah, if there's, let's
You're
talk about
regular,
it,
because they
I've been
print a lot of
trying
other
to-
stuff for us?
they print this every year?
Yeah, this has been the main printer for,
But so it
Warrant.
was last year that they told us our schedule was too tight for the spring and they really needed it sooner. But then this year, they,
let's talk about it after me. I don't
Okay.
want to get it, because I have some thoughts.
No. We have minutes to approve from, Ken sent them out earlier,
Yeah, they're from 4:10, I think.
2 meetings ago.
Yep.
Or last week.
No, 4.
4-3?
no, I'm behind on 4-3, but I did last week's because I figured that was more
It's 4:10.
All right.
two.
Yeah, it's 4:10.
Ken?
Motion to approve the minutes from 4:10 as written.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved unanimously. I believe that concludes our business, unless anyone has any comments they feel.
Gotta go home and write things.
Pardon me?
Gotta go home and write things.
Yeah.
Makes you feel any better, I'll be up all night tomorrow making them.
Putting them into the
Putting them
format
into
that
the
they,
format.
yeah, okay.
I need your letter too.
My letter's half written. It's mostly the half that I wrote last year. All right, motion to adjourn?
Second, or first.
Motion to adjourn.
Third.
All in favor? Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you, folks.